Hey guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Kylie if you're new, and today, I'll be reviewing Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. So this movie received a 21% on Rotten Tomatoes, and here's what happened. Laurie Strode struggles to come to terms with her brother Michael's deadly return to Haddonfield, Illinois. Meanwhile, Michael prepares for another reunion with his sister. Now last week, I asked and the people spoke. You wanted another reaction, so as always, I will be doing my fun facts and my review, but first, without further ado, here is again, my reaction of Halloween 2. Got my drink yet again. Which, by the way, if you're curious, fill up a mason jar halfway with ice, a shot of espresso, and fill it up the rest of the way with oat milk. Oat milk is so delicious. Very simple, really good latte recipe. Okay, so I wasn't sure whether or not to watch the theatrical or the director's cut. I have heard that the director's cut is better because it like makes the story a little bit more coherent. So I think that I found the director's cut on Facebook. Somebody had it up on Facebook, so that's what I'm watching. I don't know really what it is, but it looks like it's almost 2.5 hours long. I don't do well with surgery.
Never do it. I'm just saying.
Talking about necrophilia. Cool. No.
Can't Joey, you're talking about that girl's ass. You're like, cow! Cow!
I just hit a cow! Wow, I'm Laurie is so annoying. She's like, I need something for my head. I'm getting dizzy. Just go back to your room. Lay down. Wow, these kills are a lot more brutal.
Fucking leather chair and judges me like she's fucking God. It's her job, Laurie.
Is she talking about her therapist? Since when is Dr. Loomis such a diva? What is this? Wait, Michael has a hood? Oh! These are brutal! I am 50 minutes into this movie. I like don't know if there's a plot. Is there a plot? Hey. What's going on? This is interesting.
I found it.
I'm not sure what to make of this, of what's going on here.
Are you doing your breathing exercises?
Breathing exercises? No. Breathing exercises are gonna cut it. Like I can't deal with this. I'm not strong enough and I'm tired of pretending that I am. Fucking let me go and give me some fucking prescription. I don't want help. I want my prescription.
The acting in that scene was truly atrocious. That was something else. Is it weird that I'm bored? What is this on your mouth? So disgusting. This should have been called Halloween 2 Laurie Cries a Lot. I'm almost 2 hours into this movie and I've zoned out for like the last 20 minutes. Sorry. I don't know what just happened. Oh, Annie's dying. I love you, Mommy. What? Yeah. I have just a few fun facts and then I will get into some of my thoughts and different topics about the movie. So a little bit of tea, John Carpenter was actually offered a cameo in this movie by Rob Zombie, but he turned it down. Tyler Mane is the first actor to portray Michael in 2 movies in a row, and the second actor to play Michael more than once. Apparently Rob Zombie originally said that he would never make a sequel to his Halloween 2007 until the studio decided to make one, so then he signed on to write and direct it because he didn't want anyone else to ruin it. When Laurie and her friends arrive at the concert in this movie, the band is playing a song called Terror Train, which is a movie that came out in 1980 and stars Jamie Lee Curtis, the original Laurie Strode. And finally, the decision to make Laurie's real name Angel is supposed to just be like a stark contrast to the evil that is Michael. That's about all I found from IMDb, and I didn't really do research anywhere else because I wasn't too interested in this movie. Also, full disclosure before I get into my thoughts, I did not watch the theatrical version. I watched the director's cut and I just simply don't intend on watching the theatrical cut. I did consider watching it, of course, to like be able to do a full review of the movie and make comparisons and stuff, and I thought about making a comparison video, but then I realized that like I just didn't care that much. And it's also not totally that, it's the fact that I couldn't find the theatrical version anywhere online for less than $9.99, and I'm just simply not gonna spend $10 on this movie. Especially after watching the director's cut, I was like, I'm not spending any more money on this movie. I don't plan on ever watching it again, so why would I like spend $10 on a slightly different version? So I'm just gonna hit a couple topics. I'm gonna start with the plot, and you guys, the plot was nowhere to be found. I will say each character that we followed, Laurie, Michael, and Sam Loomis, they all had a goal. They all kind of had something they were working towards, so in that sense, like, there was a plot, but then also when you watch the movie, most of the scenes feel very disjointed. Like our A plot, B plot, and C plot feel so disconnected from one another that you're like, these could have all been their own separate movie almost, following each of these characters, because there was almost no connection between them until literally the very end, like the climax of the movie. Because as we know with a well-paced movie, like every scene contributes in some way to the plot and contributes to the story, helps move things along. And with this movie, just that is absolutely not the case. I think a big reason for that in this movie is that the character development was terrible. And I'll get into that more when I start talking about the characters. But to sum up the plot, it was just a series of random events that led up to nonsense. At least in the director's cut. I know the ending of the theatrical cut is a little bit different, but like I said, I didn't watch that. Now my next topic, comparing it to the first Halloween. So a lot of you guys actually told me that you preferred this one because it tones down some of the nastier elements from the first Halloween. And I agree, a lot of the gratuitous nonsense was totally cut out. There were far less trashy characters. No like sexual harassment or anything depicted like that, but I didn't find the movie much easier to stomach because of how annoying it was. Which brings us to the topic of Laurie. I hated her. I don't use the word hate lightly. I hate Rob Zombie's version of Laurie. She is not likable whatsoever, as you saw from my reaction to the way that she spoke to her therapist and the way the therapist spoke to her. I couldn't believe it. So now, rather than her being really annoying and raunchy, she's just really annoying and terrible in general. She's very unhinged, which you can't blame someone for, you know, their psyche dissolving after interacting with someone like Michael and having a near-death experience, certainly. But the way she projects her mental health onto everybody else and screams at everyone and what? Am I supposed to be rooting for her? I just don't understand. I don't understand. She's the worst, frankly. Moving on to another character that I really didn't like, Sam Loomis. What was going on with him in this movie? They turned him into this super egocentric author that only cares about like fame, and he's totally disconnected from his psychiatric practices and stuff. That almost has nothing to do with it. Like, he seems almost like an entirely different character than he was from the first movie. He's just some asshole that's capitalized off of this terrible experience and this terrible patient that he had. And it's not horribly inaccurate. We have all these like biopics and all these documentaries about terrible serial killers in history, and all these people in the entertainment industry just profiting off of literal murder. Now, I am guilty of this as well because I enjoy those documentaries. I find them highly interesting, so I am a cog in that terrible machine. So Sam Loomis going through that is not terribly unrealistic. It just makes him also extremely unlikable. And I'm like, am I supposed to root for anybody in this movie? Because it seems like you're kind of supposed to be rooting for Michael, which I know a lot of people do. But like in a logical sense, if we're thinking about relatability and stuff, you're not really supposed to root for the serial killer. I know that a lot of slashers cast logic aside. Don't worry, like it's okay to root for the serial killer in slashers sometimes. That's the way it is. But in every slasher, you have your final final girl. On occasion, you have a final boy. And they're usually likable, and they're usually the person that you root for. Maybe you also root for the serial killer, but you have an extremely likable protagonist who you root for as well, who's like, you know, your main focus of hope that they survive. Whereas in Rob Zombie's movies, you're not rooting for literally anybody except for perhaps Michael, because he provides the most entertaining sequences in the movie. So in terms of entertainment value, like, while I think it's fine to root for the serial killer, I just don't personally ever do that. So I just didn't appreciate that this movie kind of took that route. I'm confused as well. I don't really know who I was supposed to be rooting for, so maybe it's on me. So with all the confusion, by the end of the first act, I was like, okay, so maybe all this confusion and nonsense is gonna make it more suspenseful because it's a lot less predictable now than the first one. I was wrong though. I was wrong. Because it just turns out that anytime you're introduced to a group of strangers, obviously Michael's gonna kill them. So there wasn't really any suspense in that. And then with Laurie's character, she was just really unhinged, and I was like, well, she's not gonna do anything too crazy. She's just gonna be annoying, so then that wasn't really suspenseful. And so as a whole, the movie didn't scare me at all either, which, you know, is generally something I look for in a horror movie. And then I think I would be doing you guys a disservice if I didn't talk about the whole white horse thing going on. So as the quote in the beginning of the movie tells us, the white horse is linked to instinct, purity, and the drive of the physical body to release powerful and emotional forces like rage with ensuing chaos and destruction. So now in this movie we have the added element of the white horse. I don't know why I put that in quotations because it's literal. There's literally, Michael has visions of this white horse in this movie. So with the direction that this went, now not only is Michael a diagnosed psychopath and is also projecting all his childhood trauma by killing people and whatnot, now he also gets visions of his mother and a white horse. So here's some positive words about that. I appreciate that for once there is a part of the storyline that doesn't feel like a middle school bully wrote it. It was actually very unique, maybe not the most creative, but like it was actually kind of a more unique element of his movie. However, it also kind of plays into the whole explaining Michael why he does what he does, and I just don't need that. I respect that there are people that like to have a rhyme or reason to the killer and they kind of need that for closure. I'm just not one of those people. I mean, it kind of depends, but usually with like slashers, and especially with Michael, I don't need a reason. I didn't like that. I didn't like the whole white horse thing. I don't feel like it fit the tone of the rest of the movie whatsoever. If I were watching a dark fantasy comedy maybe that like went in with the intention of taking me on a weird psychedelic ride, I guess that would have been a cool idea, but as is, it just completely doesn't fit the tone of the rest of the movie. It's very weird. I didn't like it. So to wrap up this video, I'll talk briefly about the ending. I don't want to talk about it too much because again, I didn't watch the theatrical version. I can't compare them. And I watched the director's cut, which apparently the ending is worse than the theatrical cut. I don't know. It's a mess. It's a fever dream. It's no good. I actually thought it was kind of cool that Laurie ended up going crazy and killing Michael and ending up in the psych ward and whatever. But then again, that had kind of been done before because as we remember from the end of Halloween 4, Jamie kills her stepmom, and then like that's kind of the whole twist ending of that movie. It just seems like Rob doesn't have any originality when it comes to his Halloween movies. I can't speak for his other movies, but there's just no originality in these Halloween movies. And then when he tries to do something more original, like with the white horse, it just turns out being really stupid. So I'm over it. Final thoughts on this movie. The last movie relied on shock value. I feel like this movie relied on just pure delusion. And I just couldn't hop on that crazy train. I couldn't get myself to do it. I lost interest, as you saw. Maybe if I actually liked the characters and there was some relatability, I would have been a lot more engaged. So yet another very negative review. I don't like doing this, but I'm a very honest person. It's just the way it is, and I can't lie to you guys. You're too important to me. So that's it. That concludes my messy thoughts on that messy movie. I hope that you guys do still tune in next week for my review of Halloween 2018. I'm so excited to rewatch that movie. I think I'm gonna force my boyfriend to watch it with me. But if you're new here, I am not just doing this Halloween series. I actually post 3 days a week on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 5 o'clock p.m. So subscribe, hit that notification bell, you'll be notified whenever I post. I also have a vlog channel. I recently went to Colorado, the Stanley Hotel, and so all that's over there. I just post about like my travels and other random miscellaneous content over there. And if you want to follow me on social media, my Letterboxd, Instagram, and Twitter are all at Kai Johns. On my Letterboxd, I talk about movies that I don't intend on reviewing on this channel. And then on Instagram, I always update you guys with what movie I'm going to be watching that night in case I do a review of it soon so you can watch it as well. And then my Twitter is mainly activism with some random shit posting here and there. Don't know if you'll be interested in that, but there you have it. As always, check out the sources, petitions, GoFundMe's linked down below. I update those every single week. I hope that you enjoyed this video and I hope I catch you in the next one. Bye!